All right, folks, welcome back. This is Drew with Team Future Strategy. Let's get into the melee DPS from the live letter. So we've got 5 melee DPS to cover. It goes in order of the pictures right now. So we're going to go Dragoon, Monk, Samurai, Rogue, and Reaper. Let's get straight into it. So first up is going to be the overall changes for everything. Now, Feint's effects will be changed to reduce physical damage dealt and will also reduce magic damage dealt. Physical damage reduction will be more potent. So if you've watched the full live letter, again, we'll touch on this in a different video. Ranged with Addle, magical range with Addle will also have this. I think this is a really good change because you're looking for utility. Not every class should have utility, but there should be something that helps universally. Feint's new change, instead of reducing, I think it was like strength and dexterity, it's now physical damage dealt. Being able to stack this with your static and appropriately time things will be fantastic. If you think about a damage dealing boss and they've got 2 physical damage dealing abilities and 1 magical damage, well, there comes this layer of planning that you can go into it and say, all right, cool, we're going to have our 2 melee DPS are going to drop Feint on number 1, our tanks are going to use mitigations on number 2, and then for the magical damage we'll have a ranged DPS do it. I think this is a good way to create some group synergy and really make it so that people can feel important, because Samurai, it's a pure DPS class that has next to no group utility. This one little thing doesn't seem like a lot, but it adds that much more value to having a Samurai in your group other than DPS numbers. All right, so next, adjustments will ensure that combos are not broken. We've spoken about this in other videos. It really sucks when you go out to range to avoid a mechanic and then you use your throw ability or something and all of a sudden your combo is broken. Now, the level of parity between the physical and magical damage attributes of the weapons at the same item level and accompanying changes to action potencies. We've seen that they're doing this on that. A lot of these classes use both to deal damage, and this is something that I think is great at bridging the gap and ensuring that all of the abilities that you utilize still have the same value, which will allow them to balance a lot more. So I think this is a welcome change. Now let's move into Dragoon. So this is the first up on the melee DPS. So if you saw the job action trailer, I'm super hyped. I think they did a fantastic job on what looks. Seeing the twin dragons come out, I think they really cool, really badass. This is a maiming class, and Reaper is also maiming, so they're going to share armor types, which is cool. So the AoE rotation will be expanded. They don't really give us much other than what you saw in the job action trailer. Now, I think this is great because the AoE rotation is very straightforward. It's not that I need it to be complex, but it's very basic. You hit 1 or 2 buttons and that's really all you do. I think adding to the AoE rotation and giving you some additional things will be great. A new action will be available upon the successful execution of weapon skill combo rotations. I think that was either twin dragons or one of the final jumps that they showcased in the trailer. This is great. This is essentially them just saying, hey, you're going to get a new damaging ability, and that's based on you making sure that you do your rotation right. How I see Dragoon playing based on my experience of playing it right now is this will be this particular action they're talking about will probably be on that 60-second cycle. I also think that Blood of the Dragon becoming a trait is fantastic. I think it's a really good idea. They're probably talking about it right now, but you can't hear it. I think that becoming a trait really allows it further growth, and I think that's good. Moving to Monk, which a lot of people are hyped about. The trailer looked killer. I think they did such a cool job on changing up and utilizing those abilities. We see a new gauge underneath their chakras, which I think is going to be really unique and interesting. It's kind of like, it feels like the Mudra system, right? So I think that's going to be pretty interesting. Chakras will now be unlocked at a lower level. I think that's great, especially with the squish. I think with how they're going to be utilizing combos, the chakras being utilized earlier is absolutely a great call. It's just going to add that extra damage you need while leveling. When conditions are fulfilled, perfect balance will allow for the execution of masterful blitz. That available blitz changes depending on the weapon skills used when the effect of perfect balance. So Yoshi P goes on to play it right here. I'm going to pull it up because I know exactly what I'm looking for. So prior to this, you saw, so he's got all 3 different ones. See, he's showcasing this right now. You got your 5 chakras up here. This is your timer for how much is going on. Now, as of right now, they did not explain what having different ones were. And then all of a sudden, here it comes. Masterful Blitz. fantastic. Looks great. I'm interested to see how the actual gaining of these resources, I don't know what to call it yet because he didn't really give it a really good name yet, or at least the translation was a little weird. So I'm interested to see how you go about gaining these gauges in particular, why, you know, on one of them it was 2 of one color and then another one, and how that affected what side of the beam it activated on these 2 sides. So we'll see how that kind of plays out. I'm just going to tell you right now, Monk is my highest geared character right now. I don't like its current iteration. It just feels very disjointed, and this looks like a vast improvement, almost to a point where I'm like, all right, I feel like I could play this. This is pretty badass too. I wanted to make sure you showcase this. You know, having 3 different charges the way that it did feels good, because now you can get back into the fight, which is what, you know, what we want. So let's move on to Samurai. Effects granted by Jinpu and is it Jinpu and Shifu can be now used to apply on AoE combos. This is what they did with tanks. Essentially, they are, you know, they talked about this with Warrior. It feels really bad going through 2 full single target rotations or combos, excuse me, 2 full combos in order to apply the buffs that you need to maximize your damage as a samurai while you're on AoE, and then start using the AoE. This is a welcome change. Now, new actions in the vein of, this is going to be horrible, IEAI Jutsu. Oh man, that's bad. And then Tsubame Geishi. Essentially, they're getting new abilities in the veins of those. What? I gotta be honest, I'm completely lost on where those are. Regardless, what I saw in the job action trailer was that we had some new finishing moves. That sounds like what those probably are. So I'm hoping that that's the case. If not, I just sound like a dummy, and you can make fun of me all you want. I'm not going to get upset by it because I clearly don't know what I'm talking about in this situation, even though I play Samurai quite a bit. So Ninja, actions linked to Reitan, Dotan, and Hutan have been added, which you saw, and then an action making it easier to apply Hutan will be added. This is great. They have some new stuff in the Mudra system, it looked like. I think this is going to be a very, very welcome change. I think this is just going to make it even more fun to play. I think Ninja's already super fun. I think a lot of people who do main it love it, and I think this just makes it even easier to attack. So it's not really something we have to go into too in depth. Let's talk Reaper, new class. So uses a scythe to attack in tandem with their avatar and can serve as the avatar's vessel to unleash more powerful attacks. What was interesting is I saw, you know, during the trailer, there was a bard that was on screen with the Reaper, and at one point he used an ability where he took whatever it is they're calling from the enemy, as well as whatever it is that empowers them from the bard to then unleash attacks. I'm interested to see how the differences in the job, those bars down in the bottom right corner, kind of work. Obviously, we know that the red attacks are your traditional standard always happening attacks, and your blue attacks are your augmented ones with your little vessel, essentially the avatar, and then able to grant enhancements to the party. They did not say what enhancements. I want to know what enhancements they're talking about. This is interesting. Unique and specialized actions give them an edge to specific combat situation. Like what? One that I noticed was when he's fighting that jelly during trailer. At one point, he's in melee range and he takes a portal and jumps out to range and casts an attack. Now, how I see that playing out is if you know that there's an AoE from a boss and you're like, all right, cool. Use this ability. I'm going to warp out of range, chill outside of that, use an attack ability, and then as soon as it's over, I'm instantaneously going back through my portal and I'm back on boss. My uptime is going to be substantially higher. I am pumped for that. I mean, honestly, I'm super pumped for that. I think Reaper looks fantastic. I think it was looking very fast in the job action trailer, and then he augmented his avatar and it got even crazier, and I really enjoyed seeing that, and I'm hoping that they can keep that up because Reaper looks badass. They didn't show Limit Break 3. They're about to start playing it. They didn't show Limit Break 3 because in the little test realm that they've created so he can showcase everything on screen, they didn't give him Limit Break 3. However, during the benchmark trailer, at one point Xenos uses this crazy huge magical attack that essentially enlarges the head of the scythe into like this huge spike that is coming down into the earth. That is Limit Break 3 for Reaper. Really badass. So I think that's going to be super sweet. Overall, my thoughts are Melee is in a fantastic spot. I'm really interested to see what the enhancements to the party are. As I talked about with my last minute thoughts before the live letter happened, Melee already had so much going on. What more could Reaper add? and with the enhancements to the party, obviously we'll see that. But when you look at melee as a whole, right now it honestly feels like Monk's the only one kind of left out. And here's why I say that. If you bring a Dragoon, Dragoons can enhance the party as well as enhance one other player with Eyes of the Dragon. Great synergy. When you look at the Monk, you've got Brotherhood and I forget what the other one is. Those are great as well, but that's really it. And maybe I'm coming down too harshly on them. If the positional requirements are just as difficult as they are right now, the skill cap's going to be exceptionally high. So we'll see if we see a lot of Monk. There's still validity in there, but you got to know who's playing Monk and make sure that they know what they're doing. Next up would be Samurai. They're still going to be badass. They're still going to be crushing it. I'm not worried about them at all. Seriously, like I'm not worried about them in the slightest. Samurai is going to be all right. You know, they're still going to be that selfish DPS. They don't add that utility. But if you bring a Samurai to your group, as long as he's pumping or she is pumping, it's not going to be a problem. Ninja, it's kind of in that Monk range where the Mudra system as well as everything else with your Jutsus will do well within groups, but it doesn't add as much as I would say potentially what the Reaper can add or what the Dragoon can add, and kind of even what the Monk can add right now. So as long as the damages are up, there's going to be validity to bring them. I still think that, you know, if you have a competent Dragoon, I would bring the Dragoon over the Ninja right now. But that's just me, just because I haven't played with a lot of good ninjas. Not to say that they're not out there. You guys probably are. I just haven't seen it. With the Reaper, this is not gonna be flavor of the month. This is going to be a lot of people playing this. You know, when I think about what I'm doing in Endwalker, I had decided, okay, I'm gonna level 1 of each category first and work on those guys, and then over the course of the expansion start working on the other stuff. For me, it was going to be Dragoon when it comes to melee, and now seeing Reaper, they both share armor sets. I might make a serious push for both of them to be my melee people. So it'll be very interesting. I think it really boils down to what are those enhancements that they give to the group, because I think the class fantasy and how it looks as well as the attacks and all that, those animations, I'm not gonna have any issues. This is gonna be badass. This is gonna be super sweet. Let me know what you think. Drop something down below in the comments. Are you a melee main? Did you feel like any of the melee got screwed? Because I don't feel like it. I feel like all the melee are gonna be in a really good spot moving into Endwalker, and that's kind of the hope. So sound off in the comments. As always, I'm Drew from Team Future Strategy. I'll see you in the next one. What do we got next? It looks like physical ranged. Is that physical range next? Take care.